Hello, hello. This is Jana Hancock with the Feel Good, Get Tough podcast. Feel Good, Get Tough with your mental health, episode number 8. Last week, I talked about mindset. Today, we are going to be addressing mental health. And I've got a very special guest today. Her name is Sharron Joyce. She is a mental health coach and psychologist. I am so excited to have her on our show today. Say hello.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it. How are you today?
I am doing great, and I just want to let you know what a big help you've been to me in helping me deal with some anxiety and PTSD issues that I've had. And I just want to let the listeners know that you do specialize in behavior disorders, correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay. Now, I have a few questions for you that I'd like to ask and that I think may give the listeners a little bit more information about what you do or offer some good information on how to deal with mental health with the situations that we're dealing with today. So, My first question is, what is the most important thing that a person should do to take care of their mental health?
That's a great question. Well, the first thing I always tell people is to understand their limits and to learn how to love themselves in the now form. And one of the things they can do, especially right now with everything that's going on, with the pandemic, there are a lot of life-altering things that are happening, a lot of stressors. So I always tell people the first thing you want to do is learn to give yourself a timeout daily. Even if it's about 30 minutes at a time, away from social media. Our brain is like a camera, so it's going to absorb a lot of information. It's okay to stay informed, and we understand that, but you do want to kind of take a break from that. You know what I mean? Because what ends up happening is when you're hearing nothing but negative information and you already struggle with some form of an anxiety disorder, like you said, maybe PTSD or something like that, all you're doing is you're just kind of making yourself more anxious. You see what I mean? So I tell people just totally turn off the TV, turn off your phone, make sure that you put that in your schedule 30 minutes a day just for you. You see what I mean? And if it's safe, maybe go outside, if you can go in the backyard and just kind of listen to the birds. If you have a pet, spend some time with your pet, spend some time with your kids, of course, your spouse, just kind of reconnecting with everything. Another thing, too, is to make time out for the things that you probably were afraid to do. If you thought about writing a book, do that. If you thought about maybe considering some type of other profession, maybe starting a business or something like that, this is a good time for you to really focus on the things that you really, really want to do. Even maybe go back to school, extend an extended form of education. But the main thing is to be able to take a time out, slow down, and then learn how to put yourself first.
I really love that. And thank you. I especially identified with, during my process, connecting with nature. And in my backyard, I do have the opportunity to see deer on a daily basis, as well as a lot of other wildlife in my neighborhood, lots of birds and everything. So that's something that I've really connected well to, as well as, other things. But, I haven't had the fortune of having family close by during this pandemic, unfortunately.
Right.
So the other ways I've had to connect with them is via online.
Yeah, and that's okay, especially with FaceTime and stuff. Technology is great to be able to utilize that. But when we're talking about just wanting to kind of not having so many stresses. If you're just saying about focusing on ways that you can really give yourself a little bit of a breather, you know what I mean? Because sometimes even like you have a lot of parents at home, they're homeschooling their kids and they're not really used to that. And sometimes people are not used to being with their spouses all the time either. So that can kind of be a little bit of a stressor. So what I'm saying is you definitely want to have those connections, which are great, but you also want to be able to kind of give yourself a little bit of a break, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed. So one of the things, like I said, is to just kind of learn to just be by yourself. Just kind of escape a little bit for like 30 minutes a day. If you are able to go to a lake and sit there and don't talk and just listen, or write. Don't text on your phone. Actually take a pen and a piece of paper and write, read a book.
I love that. It's like taking away the technology and reconnecting with tangible things. I love that.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is true.
I'll get to the next question here.
Okay.
Question.
Okay.
Okay, so question number 2. How can a person get through a panic attack?
That is another very good question. One of the things that I tell a lot of my clients is when they're feeling overwhelmed and they feel like a panic attack is coming on. One of the little small exercises I teach people to do is to move towards their fear. And I don't mean literally, but one of the ways they can do it, let's say if they're at home, they can go into a closet, okay, or go into the bathroom, or even sit in their car, okay? But let's use the bathroom, for example. They go into the bathroom. So let's say if they're feeling very nervous or anxious and feel a panic attack coming on, they can go into this closet, make sure it's dark, okay? Close their eyes, take both their hands and put over their ears. Now, this is going to sound really, really crazy, but it actually does work. And they start singing out loud, okay? One of their favorite songs. Now, it sounds silly, right? But what is that doing? Because anxiety and panic attacks all stem from fear, okay?
Yeah, so the favorite song kind of takes away that fear.
And you start laughing. Now, if you're not comfortable doing something like that, another great exercise is a person can do is, again, they can go into just walk away from a space, because the person, again, I'm sure there's a lot of a lot of domestic abuse increases that's happening and things like that. So a person can be dealing with, again, a lot of triggers and stuff like that. So let's say if they're able to go into another separate room, okay, lean against the wall, close their eyes, and count to 10. And breathe and count to 10. And if they're really, really having something that's extreme and they notice they deal with a lot of anxiety, I totally recommend, again, when we talk about technology, we have things like Fitbit, which offers a relaxed mode on the Fitbit, or if they have an Apple Watch or Garmin, a lot of these manufacturers are providing tools for people to help with their anxiety. And there are a host of apps that I really, really recommend that people can use. Like Calm is a very popular app, which, allows people to learn how to breathe, learn how to calm down.
Yeah. Oh.
And the person has to also know what is their trigger and pay attention to those things. But being able to remove themselves out of that type of scenario that's causing that panic. Of course, if it's debilitating, they definitely want to speak to their doctor and find out some ways, because there could be some extreme forms of anxiety that these tools won't necessarily work. You see what I mean?
Yep.
But the most important thing is to recognize it,
And this leads very well into question number 3.
Okay.
Which is, How should a person prepare for future triggers?
Oh, again, another very good question. One of my favorite quotes I always tell a lot of people, I say, the signs are always there. It's just up to us to pay close attention. Okay? So we know what is good for us. Now, sometimes we're taught and trained and we adapt to things. So it's kind of like there are people who are afraid to drive. You know, that's stemming from a lot of things that their brain is focusing on that's negative. You see what I mean? So what we have to do, especially, again, if a person is dealing with a lot of anxiety, panic attacks and stuff like that, is their brain is focusing on the negative part of something. So we have to, I call it retrain the brain. Okay. And so how we do that is make sure that we are putting ourselves in positive scenarios. Right. Okay. Go ahead.
And, as you know, with me a year ago, I had a very difficult time even being able to be in this kind of conversation. I'm in a completely different place now from what I was a year ago, as you know.
And it's all about positive thinking patterns. You see what I mean? Because again, when a person has these types of panic attacks, a lot of times, I mean, of course, we know there could be a lot of different things from their past, their childhood, and things like that. So we have to learn how to cope and know how to understand the fear and about what we call these little subtle signs and things like that. So the best thing to do is to teach yourself how to cope and how to take control and not let the person or the environment, which is lying to us. I'll give you a great example when you talk about people who have a fear of elevators. Okay? So they could have had a bad experience on an elevator, and so their brain is constantly focusing on that bad experience. You see what I mean? So I tell people get on the elevator. Now, they don't like the elevator.
Right.
But you have to train. You have to train yourself to know.
Yeah.
Exactly. The fear is our enemy. The fear is the enemy. You see what I mean? And to be able to try different things. And so let's say you get on the elevator and you can kind of position yourself maybe in the middle. Close your eyes. It's all about calm. It's all about calm. You see what I mean? Or people who don't like to fly, who get anxious flying. You see what I mean? And so, because their brain is going right back to that negative experience again. And it's retraining the brain. And so that'll help you be able to not always try to avoid something that you assume is going to be the worst case scenario. And once you start saying, you know what, I can actually ride an elevator. You know what I mean? So that one particular bad experience is not always going to happen. See, their brain is looking for the bad experience each and every time.
Right. I found even positive affirmations help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to be in what you do.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Like, man, you coach, you're paid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So question number 4. What are some resources that a person can use if they don't have insurance that covers mental health?
Again, another great question because, a lot of people have gone through some transitions due to job loss, and unfortunately, they probably lost their insurance. But one of the things I always tell people is about the National Helpline, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Helpline. And if you don't mind me giving that number out to your audience.
Absolutely.
Okay, that number
go ahead.
Okay, that number is 1-800-662-HELP or 1-800-662-4357. And what they're going to do is they focus on any type of substance abuse and mental health. And people from all over can call that number to find local organizations in their area to help them, because I'm a true advocate of seeking out the help, because silence is never the answer. Another thing they can do is they can contact their local 311 or 211, and they can also speak to someone that can offer them help. There is a lot of help out there. Don't let money be the factor of not getting help, because there is a lot of help for people right now. You know, the main thing is awareness and know the type of subtle signs to look out for. If you know that you're feeling very nervous and scared and afraid and having what we call intrusive thoughts, not being able to sleep well, having a lot of palpitations, just easily startled, insomnia, a lot of digestive issues and things like that, you definitely want to reach out. But the main thing is not to stay silent.
I've dealt with most of those things, unfortunately. And digestive health is a daily part of my life. And I will never, ever go back to the way I was before and the way I was eating before, because that's terrible. And
makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference. My health right now, I'm in the best shape of my life. And
good. Well, I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. You've given us a lot of really great information. And also, I just want to share with our listeners that the free thing they're going to get today is I am giving out a copy of my Feel Good, Get Tough with Your Health and an ebook free to every listener on this call. And then for the first 5 people that would like to meet up with Coach Joyce here, just send an email to feelgoodandgettough. First 5 listeners get a 20% off. Is correct? Off of your visit?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And the code I'm going to have you put in the subject line of the email is going to be Feel Good Mental Health. So Feel Good Mental Health, please send an email with your contact information, with your email, telephone number. We're going to need that information from you. And then also, if you want to list anything in your email of some things that you're dealing with, then that would also help Coach Joyce to be prepared for when you are contacted. And again, the email address is feelgoodandgettough@gmail.com. And thank you so much for talking with us today, Coach.
You're welcome.
And we really appreciate this. I really appreciate the work that you've done with me, and I cannot believe the difference it's made in my life. So again,
you're welcome.
thank you.
Thank you so much.